back. Let's talk minimum wage. In some cities, the minimum wage is going up, but for Missouri, it's headed in the opposite direction. Right now, the minimum wage is at $10, but next month, St. Louis' base salary will return to $7.70 an hour. So what went wrong? This comes as Seattle's mayor is defending a wage increase. In an editorial published in the USA Today newspaper today, the mayor writes this: by raising the minimum wage, we raised incomes for our lowest paid workers, and our economy continues to accelerate. Last week, a University of Washington study showed boosting the minimum wage would result in people working significantly less hours, fewer hours. Joining us right now is the former CEO of CKE Restaurants and former Labor Secretary nominee, Andy Puzder. Andy, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here, Maria. Thank you.
Work through this with us. Missouri's now going back to $7.70. Meanwhile, you've got the mayor here in Seattle saying, no, we want to raise it. What do you think of the mayor's comments, and where are you on this issue as the debate is just raging?
Well, it's been a bad couple of months to be a Fight for 15 supporter. They had a report out of the Harvard Business School that showed that in San Francisco, every dollar you raised the minimum wage resulted in a 4 to 10% increase in restaurant closure rates. Then you had this report come out of the University of Washington, supported by the Bureau of Economic Research, which showed that low-wage workers, the people that this minimum wage is supposed to protect, we're actually seeing a decline of $125 a month in their income because their hours were reduced or they were replaced. Automation would replace people or businesses didn't open, so incomes went down. Now, the mayor got a copy of that report, an advance copy from the University of Washington, which, by the way, the University of Washington is not a conservative think tank or a bastion of economic, conservative economic policy. And he went to UC Berkeley, where the students, have a hard time even hearing conservative speakers. It goes to UC Berkeley. Berkeley comes out with a report in advance of the release of the Washington report that it used different surrogates to try and come up with some explanation for why the minimum wage increase didn't hurt. Then the mayor, who's very invested in this minimum wage increase, goes on USA Today and starts talking about the great economy in Seattle and how Fortune 500 companies are moving there, completely missing the point. This is about low-wage workers who aren't going to work at these Fortune 500 corporate headquarters. So, it's totally over his head. He misses the whole point on this. Missouri gets it. Missouri is not like Seattle and San Francisco. They've got cities like St. Louis and Kansas City that are suffering. Seattle and San Francisco have all this tech business. So you go to St. Louis and Kansas City where people are losing jobs. You're in Missouri, and the governor looks at the research and says, you know what? This is going to hurt the very people that we're trying to help. We're losing business. Missouri's been great. They went to right to work. They're really making advances in the state. There's a group called the Show Me State Institute run by Brenda Talent that does a spectacular job there. But they're moving in the right direction. I think you'll see more of this, particularly in states that don't have these super strong, tech economies that they can try and live off of.
Take it.
Andy, real quick, but will the unions ever give up this fight? Because we need to point out that the unions are behind the Fight for 15 because it raises their negotiating base, and in many instances, the unions then get waivers. They hold this $15 minimum wage or thereabouts over the heads of municipalities. They get waivers, and then they use it as negotiating leverage with these companies saying, hey, we can give you a better deal on wages.
They won't. They're not going to give up on this. This is a big plus for the unions. They're the ones who actually benefit from this. It's not the young person in high school or college that's looking for a job that benefits from this because they're not going to find those jobs.
Yeah.
It's the negotiating base for the unions. And it's this progressive idea that the more government tries to make it look like there's economic growth, the more there will be economic growth. And that's just not the case. What we need is competition. We do need genuine economic growth. As the Obama administration proved, you can't increase wages if you don't have economic growth. It doesn't matter how many minimum wage bills you pass.
Yeah.
We need that growth, and we have a president that's bringing it.
You make a great point, Andy. Great to have you on the program this morning. Please come back soon.
Glad to be here.
Andy
Thanks.
Puzder joining us. We'll be right